Hi all and welcome to the Netherlight Crucible. I went over the details of this in a previous video, but what people really want to know is how am I going to find out what are my best traits? It's not like you can click on one and then change your mind later on because it's permanent. The only way to refresh it is to swap in another relic. So what I'm going to show you is how can you determine which is the best trait for you? In the first part, I'm going to talk in general terms, so this is suitable for all DPS classes and specs. In the second part, I'm going to focus in specifically for the Retribution Paladins. Very briefly, what will happen when you access the Netherlight Crucible is that you will get, no matter what artifact level you are, to increase the item level of each relic by 5, which will increase your overall weapon by plus 15. So we're just going to click on these. Now, as my artifact weapon is at 63, close that thing, that means I get to choose one of these second tier traits on the first two relics, but not the third relic because I need to be 66 for that. And I don't get to choose any of the bottom traits because I need to be at least 69 to just do it on this relic, and 75 to do it on the full lot. On the second tier, you will get a choice of either a shadow or a light ability. Now, what you ideally want to know in each case is which one is best for you, and I'm going to show you how to do that in a moment. But bear in mind the following. If I choose this shadow one, for example, it means I cannot choose this extreme right-hand traits down here when I get high enough artifact level, because you can see the paths that lead to it. The middle traits you can get via either light or shadow. The one on the extreme left, only by the shadow one. The one on the extreme right, only by this light one. Now, if I look at these, I can see that both of these are actually pretty good for me. So I will just decide which is my best trait. It's that one, and I will just take this path. But let's say you're in a situation where this is the best trait, but this is the best one to take out of these two. What you really want to know is it better to take the least good second tier and the best third tier, or the best second tier and one of the least good third tier ones? So for that, we need to sim it. Oh my God, Simcraft's so complicated. And yes, it is when you're dealing with relics. Fortunately, we can use raid bots for this. I've talked about this before. What you want to be able to do this is an add-on called Simulation Craft. When you've got Simulation Craft add-on installed, the best way to do this is to type in /simc, copy the text that comes up, and then we're going to take a trip to raid bots. So in raid bots, you would go to Relic Compare, and you would copy and paste your character's details in here, and it should bring up all of these relics. Now what you want to do is to see from the ones that you've got on there, which ones would be best. So first of all, I'm going to type it in for the BIS trait, but the second BIS shadow light one. So the second BIS shadow light one, let us just for the sake of argument say it's this one, even though technically it's not, which is Torment the Weak. That's actually a very good one for me. And the BIS trait there. So we're going to say that. I'm not going to put anything into the other ones because I'm just dealing with this. Now what I want to do is to create a duplicate where I change it to the other way around. So instead of Torment the Weak, I'm going to choose Secure in the Light because this was the other option I had. And in my case, Might of the Templar. And then all I need to do is to compare the relics. So we get here, for example, you can see there's not a huge amount in it, but it's clearly showing that this particular combination is the one I ideally want, which has Torment the Weak and Wrath of the Ashbringer. And you can do that for each of your 3 relics, or however many relics you have the option of updating. Now that's the general advice regardless of your class or spec. Most particularly for DPS, I don't really know how to advise for tanks or healers. Now for Retribution Paladin specific stuff, because I main a Retribution Paladin, I will go over what I have found to be the best second row trait choices. What you can generally do is to split the types of trait for this second row into 3 types. The first category are the really good ones. There are 2 very good light traits and 2 very good shadow traits. So I'm going to go over those first. So the very good shadow traits include Torment the Weak. This means that your spells and ability have a chance to deal shadow damage over 15 seconds, and the effect does stack up. It's also worth noting that the dot increases with haste, which is great, we like haste, and can also crit. Well, that's good, we tend to have a fair amount of crit as well. So it's particularly good for us. It's a great trait. Ideally, you want this unless it's going to make you miss out on a really fantastic bottom tier trait. The other shadow one that's pretty good for it is Shadow Bind. This means that spells and abilities have a chance to deal shadow damage and also heal you for the same amount. Shadow Bind also increases the proc rate with haste. So the more haste you have, the more often this will proc as well. Pretty good for us, as I say, because we tend to have a decent amount of haste. Now, when it comes to the light ones that are good for us, the two light ones, Infusion of Light is very good. This means that any harmful spells and abilities have a chance to deal holy damage, and it also suggests that helpful spells and abilities have a chance to heal as well. Now, we're mostly interested in the damage, and would you believe it, Infusion of Light proc rate is increased by haste. So again, fantastic for us. Finally, Securing the Light, which means your harmful spells and abilities have a chance to deal additional damage and give you a Holy Bulwark, which is an absorb shield. Can't get enough of the absorb shields, can we? This is also a great light trait for us, and yep, you guessed it, haste increases the proc rate as well. So when it comes to the second tier traits, these are our ideal ones to get. If you're able to get one of these, as well as a really good trait on the bottom, you're laughing. So I hope you found that useful. If you did, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe and share for further content. And until next time, I'll see you later. And don't forget about the live rec Q&A this Saturday, the 16th of September at 7 PM UK time.